Believe it or not, apparently these characters weren't originally supposed to be this young.
Originally, these characters are a little bit older, and so I was picturing people more in their, late 20s and early 30s. And then Saoirse Ronan was interested in doing it, and you don't say no to that. And so we went with Saoirse and kind of built around her.
Oh, how fucking convenient that the one actor you couldn't say no to just so happens to fit perfectly into the young audience demographic. You say that as if you were to do the same thing for like Meryl Streep. Well, she's such a great actor that I made it a love story between people in their 60s. Yep, they were totally planning on making this movie about people in their 30s, and then it just so happened that they just had to do it about young people this time, again. So now that Melanie's finally back, she can help Wanda with Jamie. Wanda tells Jared that he needs to take her into town to get some medicine for him. Oh, so you do have a vehicle lying around that's different than the one you escaped in, and you weren't using it last time because why? Whatever, I'm sure we're not supposed to think about it anyway. They get to this building and Wanda says,
"Cut me. I need a wound like Jamie's."
All right. In order to get the medicine from a healer, she needs to show up with a wound like Jamie's. You don't think you should have communicated that with him before you left? What if you got there and he didn't just happen to have a knife on him?
Take it from him. Do it yourself.
And even though Jamie's wound is on his leg, she cuts her arm, and apparently that doesn't matter. And that would be totally fine on its own if it weren't for this.
They'll be suspicious of the scar. I can cover it with a cut.
Okay, so you just made 2 wounds instead of 1. If you really wanted to cover up the scar, is there any reason why you couldn't have just shown up with a wound on your head and not your arm? If the wound had to be exactly the same as Jamie's, then you would have cut your leg, right? You broke the skin, it's not like you dug into the muscle tissue or anything. So if let's say each of those wounds require a completely different type of medicine, I fail to see how breaking the skin on your arm would be okay in a way that doing the same thing on your forehead wouldn't be. If there's that much of a difference in that respect, then does it not concern you that Jamie's wound is infected? If you seriously need to be that specific, then shouldn't you be showing up with an infected wound? It seems as though there is absolutely no reason why you cut your arm. And where did you get that scar from anyway? Nope. 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 Nope.
Jared!
Oh, really? It totally does not look like that spot above your eyebrow connected with that rock in any way. Oh my god.
What happened?
Tell her you tripped. Tell her you tripped.
I tripped.
With a knife in your hand. With a knife in my hand. Cut myself.
You poor thing.
You didn't think you should have thought of that before? I tripped with a knife in my hand and cut myself on my arm and my forehead. It would seem a lot more believable if it were just 1 wound, so why the fuck did you cut your arm? I guess it doesn't matter that much anyway, because apparently during this scene, Wanda forgot that her entire species doesn't question anything you tell them anyway, so there's no reason why she should have been careful at all. They brought that element into the story, did one thing with it, and then completely fucking forgot about it.
That's a good trick. It was no trick. We do not lie. We trust each other.
Why do you even have to steal it? Just say you need some for a science project.
Send her away. If it is no trouble, could I please have some water?
Of course.
Hey look, she's taking all the different types of medicine anyway. So it looks as though after all that, the cut that you gave yourself on your arm turned out to be in vain.
What do you think?
Perfect. Thank you. Goodbye.
You didn't even drink your water! They get back with the medicine and the doctor says,
No, we don't know what that'll do.
Really? Because the bodies that the aliens have been using them on are also human bodies, remember? I appreciate your healthy skepticism, but why don't you just fucking ask her? Well, she persuades him and he winds up using it anyway. Awesome. Meanwhile, it looks like that one seeker has finally stumbled across some tracks that lead off the main road. Okay, who did that with their tires? You'd think that that would have been the first thing they were looking for when they were flying around in a helicopter. Actually, come to think about it, you'd think that that would have been the first thing she would have looked for as soon as she saw them drive away in a vehicle. Like, how the fuck did they get away anyway? What happened to your helicopter? Later, they go on a supply run to the store and things are a lot easier.
I've walked out of plenty of stores without paying. First time anyone's been happy about it.
You'd think the Seekers would be smart enough to have a picture of this wanted criminal plastered fucking everywhere, but I guess not. Making an exception for murder, well that's okay, but making an exception for breach of privacy, well that's just evil. We then see a Randy looking out at them on their way back and oh no, poor Randy, you will be forever loved. Oh my god, she came from nowhere. Wait, hold the fuck up. How did the Seekers shoot him and then drag his body out into the road without them seeing her do it? You guys were like right there. Is this further up the road? Did she pick him up and then run faster than your vehicle to do this? You know, an easy fix to this nonsense would have been to have this scene take place without the vehicle being in the shot. Could he not have been there using his binoculars at any point earlier in the day? Maybe when you were leaving even? I do not understand why you chose to do this.
Hello, Wanderer.
Seeker.
Hey, you came from nowhere too. Hey guys, it looks like they've discovered a portal. What a quick and easy solution to the problem at hand. They decide to heal her wound and keep her as a prisoner.
Can I speak to her alone?
Does that include me?
Well, of course it does, you idiot. Unless, that is, you inexplicably disappear for 3 days again, but I don't think that's gonna happen.
Why couldn't you just let me go? Because I was right. I know the threat a weak soul like you represents. Unlike you, I am doing my duty.
Gross!
Did you come alone? Other Seekers will come looking for me, just like I came looking for you.
Yeah, if only you told any other Seeker that you found this fucking trail to their hideout. At what point did your species decide they're not gonna use phones? Is it a reception thing? You've perfected space travel for souls, and if we're going by the book, you've successfully transported giant spiders from one universe to another. You've completely perfected medicine, but you haven't figured out how to use something as simple as a satellite phone, something that already existed on this planet before you got to it. I can only assume that your species is choosing not to utilize this technology based out of principle. Seeker, this is not our way. We have to make things unnecessarily complicated for ourselves. So Wanda gets all emotional and she reveals that she knew how to take souls from bodies this whole time.
I know how to do what you've been ending so many lives trying to do. I can take a soul from a body.
So you've withheld this information from everybody and you're surprised that they were doing botched surgeries? Is there any reason why you didn't tell them immediately? I thought you were on their side.
I will only give you this knowledge on the condition you do as I ask. You must promise to keep it a secret. You have to let me die.
But why? I'm such a noble protagonist that I need to end my own life for the greater good, even though it accomplishes nothing. In fact, she's so noble, she insists that nobody kills the Seeker.
Not death. Exile.
Exile? Is that even a thing with your species? So their plan is to send her away to another planet and just not worry about it. Some other species can deal with this, who gives a shit?
You have always seen it as the enemy. I can feel the hate. It can only be captured by kindness. Love.
Blech. Guys, the answer to the problem is love, which is something that this movie acted as though only humans could experience anyway. I love this thing that tried to murder me.
I've been screaming inside for years.
You're the reason why she wouldn't leave me alone.
Yes, she wasn't just after humans. She was hoping to find a way to fight the hosts. Like me. And you, Melanie. Who fight back.
Oh, so your soul wouldn't have given a shit and tried to hunt down the main character if you were more docile? I'm not exactly sure what this is trying to imply, but okay. Let's just assume that our main antagonist wouldn't even have bothered if this lady didn't put up a fight inside her head. And let's just assume that only a small portion of the population gives enough of a shit about their own lives to stay dormant inside the head instead of dying off right away. Most people don't fight back, they're just lazy. Oh no, my entire body's being taken over by an alien, but I want to go to sleep right now, so So they send away the evil Seeker soul, and then Jamie suggests that Wanda just stay taking over Melanie's body as if that's somehow not a horrible thing to suggest.
Don't you miss Melanie? Don't you want your sister back? She's here now.
She's probably fine, don't worry about it. For whatever reason, Melanie agrees and is like, what? I don't care if I never get to experience having choices in my life for the rest of time. You should just stay here because everybody thinks you're cool.
You know he's right.
And that's fine if she wants to live her life as a spectator rather than a participant forever, but there's one problem. Everybody's acting as if they've consulted Melanie over this, but no one has any fucking clue what she's actually thinking inside her head.
I knew I had to give Melanie back to herself. And leave.
That can't happen, Wanda. We need you.
You don't have to decide right now. Think about it. Promise me think about it.
And Wanda lies about what Melanie's really thinking anyway.
And what does Mel say?
She's always wanted her life back. Don't speak for me.
You're lying.
Fucking stay, we don't give a shit about her. I'm sure she's fine with it. She's telling you that she wants her body back and you're like, oh, that doesn't sound like her. She probably never wants to have a body ever again. You should just stay, you're probably lying. What the fuck?
No, I can't let you go. I won't. Let me talk to Melanie.
She's not there right now. She stepped into the other room. So I can kiss you.
Oh, so she can control it now? The 2 times this has happened in the movie have been for the sake of kissing. How convenient. So we get one final goodbye as she prepares to secretly commit suicide for no reason.
It's time. I want to die.
Everyone thinks she's just going to another planet, but she really, really wants to kill herself.
Be happy that after living so many lives, I finally found something to die for.
You haven't really made it clear exactly why you're dying, but okay. So Wanda wakes up and, they tried to put her into a new body without permission.
Doc, you broke your word.
They broke it for me. They made me keep you alive.
So your excuse is that they broke your word for you by making you keep her alive. But that's not really an excuse if you consider the fact that you also promised you wouldn't tell them you were killing her anyway.
You must promise to keep it a secret.
You're kind of a dick.
We've been taking souls out of humans for a month now. But when we took the soul out of that body, she never woke up.
The body was dying. The only way to save her was to put you inside.
Oh, well that just works out perfectly. There are no victims this time. Wait, why didn't you just tell her that you had an extra body lying around? Is there any reason you had to do this against her will? I guess if they did that, then we wouldn't have experienced that oh-so-emotional goodbye scene. No, that's not a problem with the story, that's a problem with the characters. 100% of them are supposed to be complete fucking idiots, and that's just the way that things work in this universe and other similarly bad movies. How do you know it's not intentional that every single character is suffering from brain damage? That's just what good writing is. I get my boyfriend and you get your boyfriend, yay! Which brings us to the element presented in the story that is more unequivocally pornographic for the young female brain than any amount of foreplay or kissing could ever achieve. Now she has proof that he loves her for her brain and personality, and literally no other factors come into play at all. Let's just forget how bland her personality is written anyway. She's such a fucking blank slate that literally anybody could be projecting themselves onto her. Like how many little girls read that and thought, the character is written for me. But yep, he totally loves her for her personality and nothing else.
Now, Jake, your character's in love with the alien.
Correct.
So do we look at that as a sense of kind of being in love less with the physical sense and more of a spiritual?
I think that's one of the topics Stephanie wanted to bring up in telling that sort of tale, is that her physical vessel is just sort of by happenstance, or it's the person, it's the being, it's the slivery thing inside that really captures my attention, the way she behaves, her kindness, her sensitivity. Yeah.
Can I ask you a question I've been wanting to ask?
Yeah.
Do you think if the soul was put into a deeply, deeply, deeply unattractive body, would you still feel the same about it?
Ian
That's a
would.
good question.
That is a good question.
Ian would.
Would he?
He would.
Oh.
Because he loves her.
He's such a good guy.
He is a good guy.
Well, I guess that sucks for Melanie then. He made out with her possessed body more than once.
Max, you're obviously after the physical sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah, come on. Let's just put it where it is, right?
Personality.
I'm glad everything worked out anyway, and the one body that they had to spare was a similarly aged, attractive girl. I mean, if they had more to choose from, then they wouldn't have made that decision for her, right? I mean, could you imagine if the only body they had to spare was Danny DeVito? That'd be the testament of true love right there. Yes, of course I still love you. Somebody kill me.
You got what you deserve.
Everything just happened to work out.
Our world isn't like the other worlds they came to. The way they see it, human beings are just so alien.
Yep, let's reinforce the geocentric idea that human beings are the most specialist species in the entire universe. We save the day because we are special snowflakes. An undefined amount of months later, we see them driving around at night. They get pulled over by a seeker and it looks like they're done for. But oh shit, he's actually with a group of humans and everything's okay.
Thought I was the only one who switched sides.
I guess you never know where you're gonna find your home.
All right, human beings are special. So several aliens throughout the planet are like, those other species didn't have feelings, so I'm gonna feel bad for the humans because they do. Time to end the movie with that one song.
What's your favorite song at the moment? Totally random, but this is telling.
I love that song. It's in the movie, right? But it's radioactive. I can't get it out of my head.
That's a good sign.
I love it.
Now, what might come as a surprise is that this movie is actually independent. Now, it wasn't necessarily low budget, but there weren't any giant studio heads hovering over their shoulders, forcing them to add in cliches against their will for the sake of selling tickets. AKA, this is all your fault. Much like many amateur science fiction stories, not only did it not make any fucking sense at all, but there were so many opportunities to develop story elements that could have been interesting, but they were brushed aside to make way for useless bullshit. And yeah, I get it, that useless bullshit is the selling point of the movie when it comes to their target audience. But as soon as you write your story in a way that sets up certain rules for the universe, is it not legitimate criticism to call the movie out on its inability to follow those very same rules? If the story can't even follow itself, then this might as well just be called Teenage Foreplay Volume 68. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot. This isn't supposed to be about science fiction. This is supposed to be about the rich and developed characters.
This is just really about people. It's more about what it's like to be human than what it's like to be an alien, even though it's told from an alien perspective. This is how the characters would behave under these situations.
It's a modern relationship.
Well, and it's just that's the world that we're in.
Yeah, this is an art film where we kept the backstory simple and concise and totally didn't introduce a bunch of convoluted bullshit. When you open up the movie with a narrator explaining how the film's universe works, it implies that it's not supposed to fall apart as soon as you start asking questions. It's only the entire premise for the story. You're not supposed to think about it.
I think it does make you think a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the ultimate goal really with any film, is that you want the audience to enjoy it and to come out sort of thinking about any topics that have been raised afterwards. And obviously, you know, it's something that Stephanie created, but for me anyway, I very much see it as a story. I mean, it is about love and it is about romance, but it's also about our planet, and it's about, you know, different perspectives on what's good and what's bad and what's a threat for the planet and what is potentially good for it. And that's what I always found really interesting about it, is that it's a sort of play on all these different attitudes towards certain things, like love, like health, like happiness.
Good job, you just described After Earth.
All right, guys, I want you to do me a favor, wrapping me up. Look into the camera, and in 15 seconds, sell me this movie. Why do I need to go see the host?
Oh, God.
Not only did they miss several opportunities to develop the story, but they missed a giant opportunity to showcase a main actor's performance. There were a few points where you could tell they had different accents, but the whole attempt was ruined by how inconsistent Melanie's southern accent was on its own. And any supposed subtle differences between how the characters held themselves physically was ruined by the fact that Melanie had like 2 minutes of screen time. And holy shit, you'd think that such a female-driven story directed at young girls would at least try to have a sense of dignity. You're basically glorifying abusive relationships for your young and impressionable female audience. Anytime they showed a clearly non-consensual advance, they accompanied it with heartwarming music and implied that it's supposed to be romantic. It's okay as long as he's really hot.
There is a relationship between lust and violence in this script that we might address, not around this table. Maybe ask Stephanie. Have you interviewed Stephanie yet? Ask her about it. But yeah, it was a kiss and a headbutt, then a slap, then a kiss, then a bite, then a kiss, then a punch. So, And there was that line, kiss me like you want to get slapped.
Oh yeah, you got slapped a lot in the movie.
All the time.
All in all, this movie serves as quite the statement towards advice that I think everyone should take note of. And that advice is know who's fucking making the movie before you go see it. This movie can perfectly be described as a mix between Twilight and In Time. And to the fans of the book, yes, I'm sure that some of this crazy nonsense could be explained if I wanted to read the whole thing, but despite using it for reference on a few points, I really have no interest in doing that. And after all, this is a review of the actual movie and not the book. The point of a film adaptation is so that it stands alone as a film, not a piece of DLC that requires an instruction manual to be able to understand it. Still, based on the few amounts that I've read, I highly doubt that we're working with flawless source material anyway. So especially considering that there's a much better movie with the same name that deserves a lot more recognition, I really hope your film doesn't sell any more copies than it already has.
I think AMC audiences are gonna love it because it is very cool looking. It's really beautifully shot. It's very different. There's lots of emotions, but also a lot of action, and you know, it's a very different kind of movie. And people who love Stephenie Meyers are really gonna love this, I think.
We've got kissing.
There's explosions, there's
Aliens,
a cave, there's
shiny
gunfights, there's knives, there's the desert.
Tiny spaceships.
Tiny spaceships, these aliens that come inside you.
Oh, William Hurt.
That's weird.
That was a little weird.
No! Jared's alive! Jared's alive! Keep breathing. Come on, Wanderer. Don't do this! No! No! This is it! The apocalypse! Stop!